Hey, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Cool. Today we're going to try to answer how long does probating a Bitcoin estate take in New York? So it's super common question. How long does probate take in New York generally? So we're going to try to answer how long does it take if there's Bitcoin involved? We're going to make sure to throw in our link to the previous post that speaks about how long probate takes generally, because that'll give you the typical or general framework of how long this takes. And I'll give you the sort of summary that it's between 15 months or sometimes, I don't want to say average because it's so hard to get, everything's different. Every case is different, but let's just say usually around 15 months, but often as long as 3 years. And those numbers are actually a little bit on the low side, just because everything's been super slow these past few years because of what's been going on in the world these past few days. We're not supposed to talk about it on YouTube, whatever. So that was how the timeline used to look, and with more traditional assets like a house and bank and brokerage. So today we're going to discuss, okay, how do those timelines change if you have a newish asset such as Bitcoin, and will that add some delays? And the answer is pretty much yes.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So in our general article, we talked about how long does it take to become an executor of a New York estate, and we'll talk about how that applies to Bitcoin. Again, just summarizing, typically it takes around 3 to 6 months to file and get the court to process the paperwork to name somebody as the executor. That's the first step of the probate process. The reason it takes that long is you have to collect certain paperwork. There's sometimes court delays, and sometimes in the worst case scenario, you have hearings that have to occur in the court before they will decide who is the executor. Yep. So with Bitcoin added to the mix, this stage is actually essentially the same. There's not really many areas where it'll cause significant delays. The only things that I can think of would be if one of the things you have to do when you start your petition is list the estimated asset value of the estate. You might have trouble pegging down how many Bitcoin you have, or your decedent had, excuse me. You also may have trouble, because it's a very volatile asset, it kind of fluctuates, but that really shouldn't be too much of a problem either. One possible twist is because it has kind of like a hot connotation to it. It's a very trend, especially if the market is up. You might attract sort of more greedy heirs or more interested people who otherwise would just say, I'm not interested in Uncle Joe's estate. But if they hear, Uncle Joe passed away with Bitcoin, maybe I should contest this will or what have you.
Right. I've been hearing about that in the news. Maybe this is a big deal. Right.
Yeah. So there's that sort of human element. That's not necessarily a technical Bitcoin situation.
No.
Okay, the second out of 3 stages of the probate process in general is how long does it take to settle an estate? And in this case, that includes Bitcoin. And settling means, so once an executor has been appointed, then that's the phase where the executor is sort of running around and doing all the work of collecting assets, paying debts, identifying and getting final tax clearance, and getting down to that sort of net number or net amount that is to be distributed to the heirs. Yeah.
Right.
And typically, the minimum is 9 months for this process. And again, it can often take years, just depending on what kind of assets are involved, how slow the bureaucracies are, and if there's an estate tax or any tax issues. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's typical for all of them, right? 9 months is really stretching to have that done by.
Yeah. Again, those
anymore.
Those numbers are from a couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah. I think 2020 helped us out on a couple more months each. Yeah. So
with a new asset or newish or unfamiliar asset such as Bitcoin, it's not even that new, it's 12 years old now. You may be adding a couple of weeks, if not a few more months to this whole process. And let's talk about why. So number one, we'd mentioned the bureaucracies before. So even traditional 100-year-old banks and brokerages are not so great at handling decedents' estates. That might be surprising to you. You might think, I'm going to call out some names here, like Chase or Fidelity. They might, they must do this all the time. They're not really good at it. It's really, You're playing. You're playing.
It's not their thing.
Yeah, you're playing phone tag or asking for a supervisor way more than usual, and usual is not that great either, right?
And usual is like almost every time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now imagine all those possible conundrums or unfamiliarities apply to a Binance or a Kraken or a Gemini or Coinbase. They are not going to know what they're doing. I mean, those guys are smart and great, but this is just something that doesn't happen that often. They don't have, the sheer repetition or processes to have it, a well-oiled machine. You're going to have problems. I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now.
They're still figuring out too, right? We talk about this every time. This is just evolving. Every time we talk, something's different. Exactly. But they're learning as they go, and I don't know. Hopefully, I don't want to be the test person though that has to call the first time for one of them.
Seriously. I'm like,
I have a feeling though we're going to be that person.
I do have that feeling as well.
Okay. I do. Yep.
So the big possible cause of delay, in my guess, is that if your decedent had held his own keys or held his own Bitcoin on his own wallet, that's, at least for a non-Bitcoin executor, that's going to be tough. I mean, for them to get themselves educated and up to speed to figure out where that is, how to access it, and how to transfer it to a secure multi-sig estate wallet. I mean, just the education on that is going to be
right.
Yeah. And the only caveat in that is, unless you choose an executor who's very familiar with Bitcoin, I'm trying my best there.
I know a guy.
And who's also familiar with the probate process and the risks and the curveballs that are involved, so that they make the right decisions when handling these hardware wallets, UTXOs, and what have you. So somebody who's able to wear both those hats. I mean, I'm just very, very obtusely, mentioning myself here.
Right.
Yeah, that could really save you a lot of time there and a lot of risk as well. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Probate isn't exactly easy. And then everything you're talking about with the cryptocurrencies isn't easy. You put them together, and that's going to be, that's a lot of Googling and trying to figure out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Googling. Furious Googling. Another possible pause or cause of delay here is the big decision of whether or not to liquidate or convert the Bitcoin to fiat or dollars. I mean, normally, I guess there's no normal with this situation, but with other assets, you want to convert to dollars as quickly as possible because an executor does not want to bear the risk of price fluctuations. But Bitcoiners tend to be pretty hardcore, and they may have specified in their wishes, I want these Bitcoin to go to my heirs, not dollars. So, but that does carry some risk for the executor. So that's kind of that could be a potential tortured decision, yeah? Yes. And may cause some delays while that's being deliberated. And then lastly, on the settlement process and why Bitcoin can add weeks, if not months, to this phase of the process. Taxes, and not so much estate tax, although that could be considerable if you've been holding a long time hodling a long time and have a big stash. But even figuring out capital gains tax can be daunting in this situation, or even. So just everyone involved, whether it's the CPA or the tax examiner or, it's just going to be new for everyone. And that'll just cause layers of, hold on, let me take a look at this. Or I need to check the guidebook or what have you, or the statute.
Right.
And it's just going to make everything a bit slower. Even just a regular income tax return, the decedent's final income tax return. Your tax examiner might say, oh, wait, this person was actually trading Bitcoin. Let me see what I need to do here,
Yes.
So, and we've talked about before how tax clearance is taking a very long time, just generally. This is just going to add another layer to that. Yep. Okay, so the last phase of probate in general and how long it is closing the estate. And we'll talk about how Bitcoin can add to the closing process. So in general, closing the estate, that final phase is anywhere from 3 months to a year. Again, probably longer these days, but right around there. And you're, again, collecting the final documents. You need all the statements and transcripts to put together the package of showing everything that's occurred while the executorship was happening, while the probate was going on. And then you have to prepare that accounting, which is sort of the books and records of the estate in the very specific court format. I don't understand why they don't just do a regular balance sheet and P&L like everyone else, and that would be
so much easier, right?
But there's a very specific
way. We always have
way.
A running list,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then this is a stage where, since this is the final step before checks are cut, this is a stage where a lot of contests or objections come up. So you got to be aware of that. So how do
They
those
find out you have Bitcoin? Oh wait, they have Bitcoin. Hold on, let's see what. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one potential area where weeks or even months can be added. Yeah, people might sort of wake up and realize, oh, this estate had Bitcoin.
Right.
I want to maybe I have something to say here. Maybe I have to get
wait,
involved.
hold on. Yeah, exactly.
And then, so normally you're collecting bank statements or order confirmations and things like that people are somewhat familiar with from the banking and brokerage worlds. But documenting that from Kraken or documenting that from a hardware wallet, it's that collecting the documents can necessary to create these books and records can be. It's new. Let's put it that way.
Yes. It's not like you can call the bank and ask for a very specific ledger or something. Yeah, this is different.
You might be relying on screenshots.
Right.
Yep. It's not clear if you can rely on exchanges. You might even have to, reference the mempool, or it'll be different.
It will be different, yes. And but if you have somebody who's putting together this accounting that doesn't know how to do that, where the court's going to accept it, you're going to add on how much more time?
Exactly.
Yes, because you're going to file something that won't be accepted, and yeah.
And if you decided to sell and you had to convert it to fiat, documenting that could be an issue. You probably did it on an exchange, and hopefully that's enough, showing the exchange rate at the time. But how do you show that you didn't lose value? Because that's part of what this is. You're demonstrating to the Agers that you did a good job and that you didn't sell too low or get hammered in the market. So you need to show all that, and it's just new.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think that's all we have on this topic. So yeah, again, generally the timeline for how long does probate take in New York used to be 15 months to a couple of years. It's probably a bit longer. And for the reasons we've discussed today, maybe add a couple more weeks, if not months, if you have Bitcoin or any newfangled asset in the estate. Yeah.
Yes. And Bitcoin or not, if you want to know how estate works in general, like we had just talked about, and why it takes that long, check out Anthony's book, How Probate Works, available on Amazon.
Cool. Thanks, Janice, as always. Thanks everyone for listening. And, feel free to let us know any Bitcoin topics that overlap with probate or executorship. We will do our best. And we will talk soon next time. Bye now.
Soon.